I hope that the headline didn't freak you out too much for this video, but it's something that I think Paul Feinbaum talked about on someone's show a few weeks ago. Kirby Smart going to the NFL. Is that something he'd even want to do? What's the likelihood of that? Does Kirby, is there a point at Georgia where he finds enough success and says, "Hey, I'm going to move up to the pros. I want to make it to the league as well." I don't think it's going to happen, but let's break down a little bit on each side of it. Why Kirby might want to leave one day and why he would stay at Georgia for a very long time. Listen, there is no real buzz about Kirby going to the NFL, right? This is just a conversation. This is a June conversation, all right? Just being thrown through with you, but I did see some comments about it recently. I believe it was a radio show that he went on with Keyshawn Johnson and Max Kellerman, and they talked about that. Obviously, an ESPN radio show is going to talk about stuff like this, but let's talk about it from the inside perspective. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post talking about Kirby Smart and how long will his tenure be at Georgia? Is he league bound at some point? At some point, could be a year from now, could be 10 years from now, could be never, right? Make sure, Double Dogs, Dogstruction. I don't have a physical copy of the magazine, but we're doing the same promos last year, right? Last summer, if you bought our preview magazine, or if you bought our book, Dogstruction, you get the preview magazine free. This year, same deal. With the purchase of Double Dogs right now, you will also get a copy of the 2023 preview magazine's got Brock Bowers on the cover for the second year in a row. I think we've had Bowers as the cover athlete for the mag. All right, so it's been 7 years, right? I think he's 81-15. It's averaging just over 2 losses per season. Back-to-back national championships, 3 national championships appearances, a Heisman finalist, 5-1 in college football playoff games, a perfect season, a couple of SEC championships, a few other SEC championship appearances, 8-2, or I think 8-2 bowl record because of the playoff games, right? They lost the Sugar Bowl to Texas and the national championship to Alabama. I believe those are his only bowl game losses as a head coach, right? We know the defense, the coaches of the years, all of the NFL talent that he's put out there, right? So we understand what Kirby Smart has done at Georgia, and 7 years. It's relatively short, relatively long, depending on what you're putting it next to side by side, but it's a pretty short time as far as a career goes, right? I mean, there's some coaches that coach for 30, 40 years, right? So Kirby, as a head coach for 7 years, there are few resumes like this in a short amount of time, right? And it's his first head coaching gig, if I'm not mistaken. I really hope I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's going to the NFL. If I had to guess, ever. If I had to guess, ever. I don't think he'd go to the league because he is so built to succeed in college football. He knows how to do it, and we're seeing that. I get to see it up close sometimes, obviously, and it's and I see other coaches up close, and it's different. He's different. This program's different. He is Georgia, right? Georgia is Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is Georgia. It matters to him, all right? I'd have a hard time seeing him go to another job in college football. The only way I see that happening is if things go downhill at Georgia and he gets pushed out, right? And he's like, well, I'm not done. I'm going to go coach somewhere else. And that could be the league one day. I just don't see him having this dramatic downfall. But look, something that I'm sure Dean talks about, I talked about it with someone the other day. It's hard to know where you're at in time, right? So looking at it in the present moment, we know what Kirby is in the present moment, and we know what Georgia is in the present moment. We don't know what Georgia is in 5 months. We don't know what Georgia is in 5 years. It could be better. It could be worse. The point is, you don't know where you're at in time. And right now, where we're at is Georgia's won 2 back-to-back national championships. Is that the end of their reign, or is that the beginning or the middle of it? We don't know, and we're going to find out one day. And I just don't think his trajectory is going to the NFL one day. And it doesn't work for a lot of people. It didn't really work for Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban, national championship at LSU, college success. He coaches at all those places. And then, he wins a natty at LSU and then goes to the NFL, and he's back in college football 2 years later, right? It didn't work for him. Pete Carroll, it's a guy, he won a Super Bowl. It worked for Pete Carroll. Matt Rule, I think you saw recently, it didn't work for him. He was a solid college head coach. Obviously, he's not in the conversation with Kirby and Saban, but you get the point, right? He goes to the NFL, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for everyone. I think he'd be a much better college coach than he would ever be an NFL coach, I think. And so I don't see him leaving. Does Kirby get bored? Maybe. I don't know. I just, to me, it's have we ever had real buzz about Kirby going? I don't think there's ever been true buzz where it's like, wow, these teams are really coming after Kirby. They're really giving him the offer. But I think when you ask Kirby Smart what he loves about his job and what he loves about Georgia, it's always about the athletes, the young student athletes that he gets to help grow, and he gets to help them succeed, and they help him and the university succeed. And that's something that Kirby Smart wants a lot, and he wants it specifically at Georgia, right? I think that's the part where when you're laying down all these things, it's like, well, yeah, Kirby, if it's Georgia, that's like the final straw in this conversation. And I think that I just don't know if Kirby would want to leave that, especially if things are going well, and they're going better than that right now. They're not, look, it's not going to be like this forever where every single year, I mean, maybe it will and I'm wrong. Every single year, it's, man, if that team didn't win a championship, it was kind of a disappointment. How many teams like that can he put together? How many teams does he put together like that? I guess 3, 4 maybe, where it was like championship or bust. Out of those 3 teams, he's won 2 out of 3. And so just what's the draw to the NFL? It's the NFL, right? I'd understand if one day he's like, man, I want to get there. I'm sure that at some point in Kirby Smart's life, he thought, man, I'd love to be a college NFL head coach. And I'm sure Kirby wanted to be an NFL superstar when he was younger, right? That's an assumption, right? That's an assumption that can safely be made about a lot of players when they're in high school, middle school, college, right? That they want to make it to the professional level. And he probably, a tiny part of him, if not a bigger part of him, probably is interested in that idea. Now, is it going to come to fruition? I doubt it. I doubt that that's something that happens at least at the very minimum in the next couple of years. I just don't see it. I think he really loves his job. I really do. I'm not in his head. I'm not in his house. I'm not a fly on the wall and hear his conversations with his family, but I think he loves what he's doing. I don't know that there's anyone, right? Him and Nick Saban are safe. They're not getting fired, right? Is anyone in the sport as safe as those two? I don't think so. And I know people hate that they get clumped together, but that's just where we're at, all right? It's just so similar. And they happen to be border rivals and everything. So, Kirby NFL? Probably not anytime soon. And probably not ever, if you ask me. What's your opinion? All the links that you need are down below in the description. Leave a comment down below on what you think about Kirby. Will he ever go to the NFL? This is not an immediate buzz thing. I'm just a curious hypothetical. Thanks for watching.